Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome to Proper Madness. My name is Sabby, and I give a unique perspective on mental health by providing tools, guidance, and knowledge on how we can better understand ourselves, as well as our past and present experiences, and in doing so, we can help heal our mental health. I get to speak with a variety of individuals from around the world as they share their stories from their journey through their mental wellness so that it helps others stand strong and use their voice. Welcome back, everyone, to Proper Madness. Today, I have a beloved friend of mine from Instagram that I've known for a year and a half or so, give or take. Her name is Idaline. She is a phenomenal writer. She is amazing, and I'll let her introduce herself and tell you about what she's about.
Hi, thanks for having me on. I just feel really honored to be part of this journey with you and to share some of my story too. And I feel like there's so much healing that can take place when we just own our stories and are kind of just real with some of the hard stuff of life. Let's see. I mean, I've been writing since I was a little girl, but I didn't really get serious about putting it down and sharing it until a couple years ago. And I started on Instagram as that platform. My account is So Be I, which was supposed to be like a so be it, kind of like a like what is life? Like F it, like this is it. This is what's happening. And so yeah, so I started that account. And for me, I don't know if others feel this way, but there's been times in my life where I feel like, am I the only one that's this bleeding heart, this like open, gaping wound? And something about reading words and maybe song lyrics too. There's something about that when you read it and you realize that you're not alone. And somebody else not only felt it, but had the cognition and this awareness to be able to put it into like perfectly worded a phrase that just can stay with you and heal you, I think, at like a cellular level. So I just started feeling like this is the way for me personally to heal. And I mean, I guess that goes way back, why I needed to heal.
Because with any person, they need an outlet for their pain to express it in some way. And I think like us as creative human beings, we have to have something, we need to have some sort of outlet to put, like you said, the pain that we're feeling onto whatever we need to put it out there onto. But to share it with the world, I think is like so brave and vulnerable. It takes a certain level of vulnerability and strength to do that. Because your writing is so raw. Like anytime I've read it,
yeah.
Oh my God. If you're listening, I made like a face of shock, like my eyebrows went to my forehead. But anytime I've read any of your posts, it's just so real. I feel like anyone and everyone can relate to it in some way, even if it's not all of it.
I mean, that means a lot. I think if I were to go way back to the beginning, it really was kind of a survival tactic. And I would say our writing groups, that we're both in on, was part of that survival guide. And it does. It sometimes it just feels like you're taking your heart and you're throwing it down on paper. At least that's how it felt at times. But then it's like cathartic. It's like it's out there, and then a good friend of mine was like, "This is art." And by profession, I'm a nurse. I'm a labor and delivery nurse, and I do think there's an art to nursing. But having a minor in art as well, I was always kind of like, oh, it's a hobby. But they were like, no, this is art. And the beauty of art is when you share it. If you can create and you can kind of hoard it and keep it private, but there is an element to finally being able to be vulnerable and share it that I think kind of brings it full circle. Like, I'm going to put this out there and see, and it might not land or it might land. And like, it's not really about that. It's more just the process of being an artist and just finally identifying as that, I feel like has been really groundbreaking for me, just to find an identity outside of what I had been living as. I think for me, it was a nurse, a wife, a mother. And it was all of these external things that made me who I was. And pretty quickly, it felt like at the drop of a hat, I lost a lot of those things. And literally, it felt like overnight. And so trying to realize like, oh my gosh, I've been investing so much of my identity and my worth in these external things that you could lose. Who am I? Like, what is the company I keep with myself now? And like, what is there left if other things are lost? And no, like I didn't, lose my profession. I'm still a mom. But in a lot of ways, my identity shifted. And so I feel like it was just a really huge part of my like rediscovering who I was, I think, in life. Yeah.
When you had that moment in your life where everything just kind of fell out from under you, like what was that like? How did that feel, and how did it feel coming out of that hole?
Yeah, I would say, so I got married really young, but it was very normal in the community that I was living in. I got married at 22, like right out of college, and that was just very expected. It was a small Christian college. And 8, 9 years into it, people are asking like, wow, how are you guys like surviving this? And my husband at the time would say, oh, like we met young, we met at 19 and we just got lucky. And I think if I was being honest, we didn't get lucky. It's just that we weren't being honest. We were lying. We were putting on a facade that everything was okay. And little things started happening, I would say discoveries or things that just drive your intuition wild. And I got really, really good at shoving that down in order to keep a marriage alive and turning off that intuition, shutting it up, clamming it up, or, having a drink even just to not feel it, or just to not really identify with like reality. And it got to a point where there was a moment in time where it was as if, how would I describe this? It felt like maybe the lights were off and suddenly the lights were flipped on, and you see just a mess of what your life really is. And then you realize that this isn't just a mess, like, oh my gosh, this is a whole working of like a bomb that is about to detonate. And it was like this, it felt like slow motion, like everything just started like tick, tick, tick. And I would describe it like a bomb exploding. And like you said, like the kind of ground dropped out from under me. I would say I was pretty accurate. And for some reason, like I said, I knew certain things were happening in my marriage that were pointing to like whispers of infidelity. But there was, again, I was really good at not following that lead, or, just looking the other way, like this can't happen to me. And like, why would I ever think that I would be innocuous to this, to betrayal, to pain? And again, I think it was just denial. But a really good therapist pointed out that a lot of times women who are in relationships that are toxic, abusive, stay in them for a long time because they're being promised a better outcome. It's going to get better. It's, it's just a rough patch. And they're kind of, it's like you almost get into this honeymoon phase, and then the behavior starts up again. And it's like this cycle that keeps happening. And for me, the moment that the bomb exploded was when my babies started becoming involved in some of the, I would say, neglect, abuse. I was putting my babies in the arms of a man who was not capable of really caring for them because he was so wrapped up in what I now know was his sex addiction. And so this therapist pointed out that a lot of times women, he would use the example of domestic violence, but a lot of women don't usually wake up and get help and get out until their perpetrator involves a child. And I have a lot of pain around this idea that it took me to that point of my kids getting involved in this mess, that I finally woke up and realized that this was the moment that I had to not just rescue myself, but my kids too. And it's twofold, because with this explosion, there was a brief moment of suicidal ideation, and it was the same reason: I will not leave my babies behind. And again, still, I can just bring up these emotions at the drop of a hat, because I would say it was like that moment when I realized that my babies saved me. And what us, I think I've had a lot of embarrassment or shame about that. But thank God for kids that give their moms sometimes that fierceness, that audacity to fight back to life again. But I would say, with the help of good therapy and help of family, I finally started to come back to the surface again. I would say something that I really felt drawn to you and your writing and your page was just that there's something about people that have known darkness that they shine a little different, or there's like a knowing, there's like they get it a little bit more.
Yeah. What a powerful moment, though, as a mother, to have that awakening within yourself to survive on behalf of not just yourself but your kids is just beautiful and amazing by itself. So I feel like that deserves so much recognition, and I don't know how many mothers can feel the same way as well, like your child, your baby is what you're now protecting, and you want to, I don't know, I've never been a mother. Hopefully one day I will be. But just this innate, almost primal instinct to protect. And I think that is one. I got chills when you explained how you woke up and what made you wake up, and how you just decided, yep, nope, this is it. This is what I'm doing. I need to look after not only myself right now, but my children. And I'm sure one day, maybe soon, maybe now, who knows? I don't know how old they are, but they'll look back and appreciate that and go, wow, holy crap, Mom. Like, you did all of that for us just because you want us to have a better life. I think that's amazing.
The hardest thing I've ever had to do is probably try to heal and be a mother at the same time. I think because healing, it takes everything you have. And it's not this passive time heals. I don't really believe that. I think it really does take conscious effort and examining and looking at your patterns. And I don't like playing the victim. I can rework this story, to make it sound that way, but I don't thrive with that narrative. I like seeing how, like, no, Kate, like, you knew what was going on and you chose to stay. And then when it was time to leave, you did. And so there's parts of it that, yeah, there was moments in life where I feel like I let myself down, but then there was this reckoning of like, man, I'm not gonna let myself down again. I have my own back now. and I know I can get out of it if I need to. And I think you get that grit a little bit and that resilience and that confidence, and you kind of realize the codependency that was, starting to really take root, and like, no, like pulling that root out. And I would say I'm at the place now where I think it's Mary Oliver. She said, someone I loved once gave me a box full of darkness. It took me years to understand that this too was a gift. And I feel that it's like, so I've gotten to the place where I can have a healthy co-parenting relationship with the boy's dad, ensuring that he's healthy and safe for them. And seeing how like getting out and having that season of darkness and driving me to kind of my own rock bottom, I feel like is, and I don't mean to like be like toxic positive, but I really do see how we both needed that crash explosion, that rupture to happen for us, for him to get healthy, for me to get healthy, and for our boys to finally have the chance of seeing what love should look like and what marriage could be. And dare I say, we're giving our boys a real example of how very human we are, and kind of leveling the playing field of like, hurt people hurt people. And no, like I said, no one is impenetrable to pain, and we mess up and we hurt the people we love. And I think a shifting point for me was probably when I learned a lot about how to have a better boundary of, like, you can't hurt me like that anymore, and you can't hurt my boys like that anymore. So now we can enter a healthier relationship and enter that forgiveness. And but if you continue to let that person hurt you in that way, it doesn't really feel like you're healing much of anything. It kind of just feels like you're opening up old wounds again and again. Yeah, and I would just say it's like something needed to change, and we had to change just about everything, and identities and cities that we lived in, and all that. So it was definitely a process to work through that dark season.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I just talked about this sort of yesterday on another podcast, is the darkness. The darkness is something a lot of people avoid. I think we avoid being in the dark. We avoid our darker moments and emotions a lot of the time. And in avoiding that, you're just avoiding your healing. You're avoiding moving forward. You're avoiding accepting the parts of yourself that you maybe don't like as much, that you need to. It's and the darkness goes in so many vast corners of life. I feel like you're always going to experience some form of darkness in some way, and if you haven't, then you probably will at some point. Or you have, and you're just ignoring that you've had any sort of darkness because you don't want to deal with it. And I think
people are scary to think about. Yeah,
they're just scared they're scared of their own adversity, or like any sort of adversity that they can face. Like, I personally have never respected anyone in my life that's never faced any adversity, and I can't relate to them, because you'll notice like their demeanor is different, the way they see life is different. They just have this vibe about them that is not very genuine. And they kind of live life with rose-colored glasses, and I'm like, how do you I'm like, good on you, you haven't experienced any adversity, but how do you function? Like, I don't understand.
I feel that a little bit with like some of the more like shallow relationships. It's like, no, like you have to go deep and down far to get to some of that, like the deeper root of somebody. It's kind of the the imagery of like a seed needs to be in that dark soil, and sometimes it even needs to go through a season of frost, freezing, to crack open, but like so much goes on underneath the surface in that dark season. I feel like that was where you need to be for a while. You kind of need to cocoon. You need to be I think in the darkness, like you said, to get those deeper roots. Otherwise, I feel like you're just kind of on the surface and very easily swayed or plucked up.
Very easily swayed for sure. Or like you don't have your own backbone, you don't have your own decisions, you don't have your own opinions, and there's no depth, I'd say. Like it's everything will be very surface level with anyone, and it's tough to relate to them.
It's like something you shine a little different. I think maybe after a season of darkness, do you maybe appreciate some of the light again? Do you?
Oh, I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
You see the
when
light, like the light's more bright, the trees are more green, things that you maybe once took advantage of suddenly are enhanced and just feel that much more beautiful.
It's kind of like this idea, like it's like I'm not afraid of love. I'm just afraid of mistaking love for something else. It's like
Isn't
I
that the truth? Yeah.
don't want to be fooled again. And that's just where some of those false narratives will come in, and kind of coming back to that, like that knowing. It also made me think of when you were talking, this idea of we repeat that which we do not heal.
Yep.
And then like take it one step further, and we cannot heal that which we do not know. And I think that's like kind of full circle. Like I think that's something about what writing can bring out, or therapy, or any kind of however people like to express it. But there's something about writing, pen to paper, stream of consciousness maybe, or maybe like sometimes the ways I do it is just reworking an idea until finally like things can just settle. Like, okay, that feels like a full thought. I feel like I've finally landed in what I was trying to say, even like that, what I just said, like, I'm not afraid of love. I'm just afraid of mistaking love for the wrong thing. It's like trying to work the words enough and naming what it is that hurts so that you can let that breathe, let it heal. But it kind of goes back to like if you don't ever name your darkness, if you always turn away from it, this kind of goes on a different tangent, but I think in our society, we're so crazed on just feeling good all the time. Like that's just like, like if it's whatever can get you feel good, like whatever dopamine hit you can find, feel good. Don't feel pain. And we're terrified to feel any kind of pain. And I've seen that as a labor and delivery nurse. It's like, oh no, like you need this pain, like a pain that is going to bring birth. Like you're going to have a baby. Like if any profession begs for pain, I would say it's this one, where women are like so ready for the labor pains to start, and knowing that these pains are going to bring forth this new life, and seeing that every time I go to work, it's just that reminder of like, do not be afraid of pain. I don't know, it's like in the darkness, like one little matchstick light will illuminate so much more. You just appreciate the light a little bit.
That and like sometimes people put a positive spin on pain, which bewilders me sometimes.
Like, why can't we just let pain be pain?
Yes.
And be ugly? I totally agree. Like, stop making it beautiful. Like, this is.
Yeah. I'm like, no, it's raw. It's messy. It's a absolute shitstorm. And it should be. But you should, like, you have to, I always say this at the end of my fucking YouTube videos, because it's true. You have to go through the eye of the storm to see the clear day ahead. You can't just sit there and be like, there's a storm. Okay, that's cool. And then just go the other direction. I feel like everyone just like sees that the storm is coming and they think, okay, it's going to be a lot more difficult to go towards the storm, but I know I need to get through it.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to take a different path that's going to take me backwards probably. And it's just like everyone's just so distracted with trying to numb out, trying to numb their pain, trying to hide it, trying to distract themselves. Like we feel pain and immediately our body's response is to give us a distraction sometimes, right? Like if you have anxiety, all of a sudden you're going to get heart palpitations. You're not focused on why you have anxiety. You're not focused on, oh my God, I'm having heart palpitations. So it's like,
it knows, it's telling you, it
yeah.
knows. Yeah. Oh, it's so true. I think there's something like when I was getting that feedback, like, oh, like your poetry is so raw and like, oh man, dark. And it's like, well, how else am I gonna heal? Like I even was asked one time, can you try to make it like a little more colorful, vibrant? Like I meet you and you seem so upbeat. And it's like, well, yeah, because I had to like sit in that shit for a while and like you have to like, I don't know, like bathe in it a little bit and like get used to it. Like there's a lot of things you're going to have to work through and they're going to be ugly and they're going to be hard. And then I feel like you can get up the next morning and serve your kids Cheerios and go to the park and breathe and remember like a little bit more about what really matters, you know? And it's the breath in your lungs, it's the wonder in a kid's eyes, it's the, I don't know, the nature around. It's still having the capacity after heartbreak to love again and to dare to open your heart. And I do feel like that's kind of what keeps us going. I think it's tempting to just say, you know what, I'm done with love forever. It fooled me once, fooled me twice. I'm never trying this again. But it's like, no, like that's what drives us. I feel like we need connection. We need to try again. And it's like owning your story and still loving yourself is so fucking brave. Like, and then taking it one step further and like still being open to love again. I think there's just so much bravery there and I can finally own that part of it too. And so we'll see where my words take me next, but I've been loving just the community of women especially, but men too, that have, like, no, like I said, like no one, people know this pain, and something about knowing that you're not alone in it makes you realize that you're going to get through it and you're going to be okay. Even if the pain is ugly, it's like, yeah, bring on the mess. What if everyone is messy? You know, what if everyone could just be real and raw with it, and maybe we wouldn't feel quite so pressured to put on this air of this facade of perfection and, oh yeah, we just got lucky. No, like we're just finally being honest, and it's not about luck. It's about, yeah, being real and authentic. And but I think that does take vulnerable guts to show that.
There's so much to be said about vulnerability that a lot of people are still scared of, especially on the internet. Rightfully so, because there's some really messed up people on the internet, but at the same time, who are they to tell you who you are and what you've lived? You know what I mean? You own your story, you own your past. I mean, I feel like a lot of people allow their past to shape and mold them into a person that they think they should be, as opposed to letting their past shape them in who they can be.
I was just talking to a really good friend this morning over coffee, and I was saying there was a lot of times where people would almost become like detective, like wanting to know, what was some of like the warning signs in your relationship? Like, what were some of those like gut instincts? Like, what did it look like? Or, like all these like really invasive questions. And I realized like, I don't really think you're asking because you're concerned for my experience. I think you're asking because you're so concerned that it could happen to you and you want to validate your own experience and your own fears. And if it's nothing like Kate's story, if nothing she's saying can resonate with me, then I'm safe. It's like kind of shifting the lens. Like sometimes people ask more out of their own interest than really like being like belittling towards your story. I don't know if that makes sense, but I've had to shift the lens a little bit of, if people don't like your story, it's probably because it stirs up some kind of fear in them.
Yeah, it's very much like people are mirrors to each other, and they don't even know it. Like whatever you don't like in someone else or that's bugging you. I learned this in a CODA meeting, and I refused to believe it for months, and then finally it like dawned on me. I was like, ah, crap. But I went to a CODA meeting. There's one particular girl that I just really infuriated me. I just didn't like. I was just sitting there going, oh my God, I can't. Like she just wanted a lot of attention. And it dawned on me later, much later, that it bugged me so much because there was a part of me that used to be like her that I haven't accepted within myself or healed yet. And so I was very much getting triggered of, ooh, that used to be me.
So much. Totally. Or I think sometimes I have to be really careful if I hear of a situation where someone's in a relationship that's just not like that's toxic or what. I sometimes want to jump in and save. I'm an Enneagram 2. I'm a helper. Like I just gotta like save it, save the person who's in it. And I realize it's like, oh, like you're just trying to heal or fix your own story through them. Like, if only I could stop this train from barreling towards this couple, like it barreled towards our relationship, well, then maybe my story would sit better. It's like, oh, like I see myself doing it. It's like, no, like just like I was in my own, like it needed to get to a certain point of that explosion, going off that, I needed to get to the point where I was ready to leave. It's kind of like you can't force anybody to heal. You can't force anybody to get help. But you can be there for them and you can cry with them when it hurts, but
I understand because I had a therapy session today with my therapist, and I was like, listen, I for some reason, both my siblings, I'm the oldest, both my siblings think I'm very condescending and judgmental, and I don't know why. I go, mentally, I'm not feeling this way. I'm not thinking it. I don't know what's happening. She was savvy. It's because you're wanting to fix them and prevent them from doing the same things you have done so that they don't live the same life you live. And it comes across like you know better. And I went,
dang it. I know, man, those are like the best therapists. It's just those zingers, and you're like, oh,
yep. I was like, oh no. And then I texted both my siblings. She's like, you need to talk to them like they're your peers, not like they're 6-7 years younger than you. And I went, okay. She's like, they're adults. I'm like, you're right.
Well, and then it's like, just like we were talking, like you sometimes need that box of darkness, that, dare I say, gift sometimes.
Yeah.
Catalyze a whole shift, maybe a realignment, or maybe a whole, like, I'm going to completely change courses here. And like, I thought I was on this path. I literally thought I was going down this journey. And now I'm here, and it's, dare I say, good and better because it's honest and it's deeper and it's, I would say more vulnerable, but just living honestly, like, let's just like start telling the truth. And
Yeah.
we would all feel like I said before, like there's all a lot of mess out there, and it's really exhausting to be friends with people that are perfect. Like, who wants to be friends with someone who's perfect all the time,
Oh, dude. Yeah, no. It doesn't make sense. It's like it's not realistic. I'm like, show me a day where you look like absolute crap, please. You know what I mean? Like, or show me a day where you're not reading or journaling 24/7. Like you're actually doing something human. Like, I don't know, maybe watching TV.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know.
I guess I hope that maybe my kids will learn, or peers, whoever, just in sharing my story and making it more human, then maybe they can feel more free to be human too, and realize that life is not about like, oh, that is a fatal error, like, and now you just destroyed your whole life. It's like, what if we viewed it like a trial and error? Like, I tried this isn't working, like, and here we are. Like, it's not about like getting it right, but maybe about how to repair when we get it wrong. And so much of that with parenting is like, wow, I really lost it today. Or, I think being so okay with my boys seeing me sad, or even like messing up and losing my temper, and just coming back and repairing that. And like I said, maybe the best gift that their dad and I could give them is two parents that are so very human, and maybe they can step into the world having a little more grace and compassion for people who are also human, and we're all just trying to figure out what we're doing and taking it, every punch that comes, and like celebrating the highs, riding out the lows, like feeling it all.
I think we all try to numb out in some way. I still have friends that do that too. There's like people who socially drink, and then there's people who they're going through something and their response is, I need a drink.
Mm,
And mentally, as like a mental health person, I want to tell them maybe don't do that. But I
mhm.
just don't participate because I don't think it's right. I don't think that's the right thing to do. I don't If you're stressed and overwhelmed, the last thing you should do is try to run away from yourself. You should probably come within and figure out maybe what you need, like you said, like listen to what your body needs, listen to what you are processing. Why are you feeling overwhelmed? Why are you feeling pain? Ask yourself questions instead of running away. I think that's
Yeah,
even social media. People use social media to just numb out, not think of anything. I've caught myself many times, where I'm stressed about work or I don't want to do something. And what do? I pick up my phone and I just start scrolling on TikTok. And then you have to catch yourself and go, oh my God, what am I doing? This is
totally.
not healthy.
But for
So,
those 15 minutes, you didn't have to think about the thing that was haunting you. It's
mhm.
interesting, like the verbiage you used even was like, use social media, or like, it's not like you don't just like take a drink, like you
Mhm.
use that drink, it's like, it's like we're using these things, like you're using just like the same phrases that they would say for any kind of addict. It's like when
Yep.
you use something, it's like you're not enjoying social media, you're not
Mm-mm.
like enjoying that drink. It's like, no, you want to use that for that different motive.
For your own gain. Like it's not when you use it's for your own selfish like reasoning. It's not for
Mhm.
enjoyment.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like there's something just about really being aware of some of those, mm, like you like even wanting to tell somebody like, oh, maybe you shouldn't do that. It's like, I think in like codependency, like healing from that, recovering codependent, like being able to just, that you can't stop somebody from their addiction, like there was nothing I was going to do to change what my ex-husband was doing. There was nothing
Mhm.
I could do. And I tried everything, and there's nothing, if it's a relationship, like you said, you had one with an alcoholic as well. It's like they need to decide for themselves to change that. Like there's nothing you can do to change that pattern,
Mm.
that rut that they're in, that like neural pathway of this is what I need to cope. Um, and just, I don't know, I think it is just kind of like going back in, like you said, and realizing that it's like I gotta like stay in my lane and care for people, but not get too invested in controlling others' ways of using, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like, I have a question, like
Yeah.
what would you say was part of your survival guide? Maybe one or two
Mm.
things that you felt like really got you through your dark night of the soul.
That's a good question. I would say learning to come home to myself was the biggest one, because
Wow.
for a long time I would run to other people to fill that space of a lack of having a companion.
Mm.
So I really just truly dove in to enjoying my own company, enjoy being alone, enjoy understanding my own mind. Um, and then obviously writing has always been like such a big part of everything for me, because my page started out predominantly as just writing,
Mhm.
and a blog. It started out as a blog and then it just turned into something completely different. So I would say that, and then I would say making my videos was extremely cathartic for me, because
Yeah.
it allowed me to sit down and, after I was done processing something, then have to sit down and explain what I was feeling, what the experience was like, what I learned from it. And it's almost like by doing that, it like imprinted it in my mind. And
Hmm.
then I was able to just like put it out there, release it, and then I felt so much better.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like a
yeah,
really That's so
yeah.
interesting. Oh man. I like to use the phrase, I'm not by myself, I'm with myself.
Mm.
Maybe sounds a little like creepy,
No, I
but
like
like
that.
we get to spend time with ourselves.
You got to
And
make a t-shirt or something out of that
yeah, let's
too.
make t-shirts. I love what you said too about like the organizing it and then releasing it. It's like what a beautiful image that you just drew, that
Thank
catharsis.
you.
Yeah.
There's so many that I looked back on. I recently, because I did the whole rebranding.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go back through my YouTube channel, like, oh God, let's remove this one. Let's just get rid of that one. Because some of them for a long time weren't me being me. It was me trying to be someone I thought would get views, or me trying to give advice without being human. So I was like, nah. So I got rid of all those older ones,
That's
except for a couple.
a lot of self-awareness to be able to be like, oh, this is what I'm doing here. We're gonna delete. Like,
Yeah.
try again. Try to be real.
I
Wow.
used to do I studied forensic psychology before I became like a creative writing major and did film.
Hmm.
So on my channel, I did like three videos of psychoanalyzing fictional serial killers, which was
Oh.
fun, really fun, but took so much mental energy. Like I'd
Yeah,
have
I
to
bet.
sit down and watch a damn show and go, fuck, I can't.
So like
I
what
was
do you
like,
I wonder like what you're like on a first date. That must be like,
oh
are you a
God.
serial killer on the first date? Oh man, watch out.
I went on one recent, oh my God. My recent first date experience was
Oh,
basically, I think I saved myself from a narcissist that was highly codependent very quickly.
I
I
tendencies. Oh no.
I read him like a book on the first date. Already knew something was up, but just kind of was like, let me give him a chance. And then 5 days go by, and within those 5 days, I got Mr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and I was like, fuck no. I was like,
Totally.
I gotta go.
It's like
Okay.
it's almost like empowering to be like, and like you notice it, and
Uh-huh.
then goodbye. Like there's something
Yeah.
so empowering of just like, I see this and I'm going. Like I'm gonna exit now. Like
Yeah.
I think that's maybe part of the process too of like knowing I'm gone. I have my own back and I'm gonna get out. If it's
Yes.
bad, I'm gone.
I
And
love that phrase you keep saying, having your own back, because that's what it is, right? Like healing is having your own back. If you don't go through the healing, you don't.
yeah, I think there's so many layers to it and just yeah, loving yourself and knowing what you need to get better. That's why I was asking kind of about like what's your survival guide? Like what do you do? And I love even like your tips on like, all right, I noticed that like caffeine does this to me. So
Mm,
or just like these different things that keep changing.
yeah.
Because you have your own back and you know that your body needs something different and your mind needs it too. And I don't know, I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to preach more of like what I do, like literally what I do every day, because it's tough to preach something and tell people to do something if you're not actually doing it yourself and showing them and like, look, hello, I'm at the gym at 6 a.m.
That a girl. Yeah, seriously though. I feel like that kind of reliability and just realness, I think, is what attracts so many people to see like you as a source of inspiration. So
Oh, thank you. I
keep
really
doing
appreciate
it,
that.
you know?
Thank you. If anyone has resonated with your story or anything that you've told, what would
Mhm.
be the advice that you would give them? What would you say to them?
I would say, oof, I mean, pull up a chair, right? Like let's have coffee. The first thing that came to mind was just being gentle with yourself. I think it's so easy to beat ourselves up when things don't go right, or we think that, kind of what I touched on before, is like, I could have done something different. Like, oh, you're so stupid. Like all these like, and I think there was a different kind of brokenness that I hit when I just saw myself as I was doing the best I could with the tools I was given. And having that gentleness and that compassion for yourself, I think, is a really good place to start that healing. And just being able to see your own humanness. Like if we treated ourselves like we treated our best friends, with that gentle, compassionate, empathetic presence, I think we would probably be doing ourselves a much better service than beating ourselves up and just kind of going down that same spiral and repeating that, which we don't heal, and those same patterns. So yeah, I think the first word, it was just gentleness, um and reach out if you ever want to chat more with someone who's maybe a few years out from the explosive kind of ground falling out from under you, because I'm still here to tell the story. And I think that's what libraries are full of and bookstores are full of, is people telling their stories. And so yeah, for everyone to reach out if they want to hash out their story and just kind of trade moments of darkness or pain, knowing that you're not alone in it. So
Can find you, like, what's your Instagram handle?
yeah, it's SO_BE_I. That's probably the easiest way. It's Kate Idaline. And then we can connect that way, and then further if we need to. Be great. Yeah. Thanks for
Okay.
having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on. This was such a wonderful, just amazing conversation. And it's finally nice to like have a conversation with you after such a
Know
long
each other.
time.
Yes, I know. I've been literally like loving every post you put up for years.
Ah, thank
So
you. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, you have to go through the eye of the storm to see the clear horizon ahead. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you next week.